Broadcasting from Silicon Valley, California, this is Conversations with Jennylyn.
You're watching Conversations with Jennylyn, and my guest this afternoon is Marco Robert, and he is an international speaker and influencer. Welcome to Conversations with Jennylyn, Marco.
Hey, thank you so much for having me on your show, Jennylyn. I'm excited.
I am more excited, and I'm especially grateful because I know from my own experience, we're all on lockdown, but I've never been busier.
Yeah.
The same true for you as the same?
Oh my God, I'm swamped. I mean, literally over the last 12 days, I was just telling you, I just finished delivering a course. See, you said I'm a speaker, I'm an influencer, but at the core, I'm a business turnaround expert. That's what I do. I travel around the world and I turn around businesses. I've been doing this for 18, 19 years now. And so what I decided to do, I was just cooped up at home like everybody else, right? All my events have been canceled. So I figured, yeah, maybe I have a few friends on Facebook in my community who need my help. So I posted something. I said, hey, guys, are you struggling with your business or something? 500 people said yes. So I ended up doing a course for 2 weeks just for my friends, 100% free, didn't charge them anything. And I showed them how to turn around their businesses. And so I thought it was just going to be, but the course was just an hour a day, but everybody was interacting with me. I ended up spending a lot of my time. I was basically working full time for the last 12 days. So yeah, busy.
Amazing. Well, it's because of you then that I can't find a webcam online. It's your fault. I cannot believe you cannot find a webcam to buy.
I know. That's insane, right? Well, everybody, my neighbor I was actually out the other day and then I see him, his name is Jim, and he's a recruiter. He said, Marco, I guess I'm going to have to be online, man. How do we do this stuff? He says, I know you do a lot of online stuff. Where do I learn how to do all this stuff? So I have a client in Australia who teaches people how to be on camera and how to do this stuff. So I connected Jim, my neighbor, with my client in Australia, and I said, he'll teach you everything you need to know. So the reason why I say that is because if Jim, my professional recruiter neighbor, is actually want to go online, I'm assuming that a lot of people want to go online right now.
Well, it's the only way if you're supposed to be locked up, unless you just want to crawl in a hole and stay away from everyone and not have any form of community. So you are an influencer and I know what an international speaker is, but tell me, what do you do as an influencer? Clearly you influence people, but how?
Well, so, at the core, Jennylyn, I'm actually a business expert, right? So I ran my own businesses in my 20s. So when I sold my mini empire, I used to actually I had a mini empire of restaurants in Central America, of all places, in Guatemala.
Okay.
Yeah. So, it's a long story, but I ended up, I'm from Canada, born and raised, but in my mid 20s, I ended up moving to Guatemala and I started kind of a mini empire in the restaurant industry. I sold that when I was 29 years old. And by the time I was 31, I moved to the Bay Area, California. And I wasn't sure exactly what to do. So I said, maybe I can start helping businesses. So that's what I started to do. I started to consult with businesses. And I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to business. So I created a model for consulting, a model to actually consult with companies. And after about 6 or 7 years of me consulting with companies, and I actually had some consultants also who worked for me, who consulted for companies.
Yes.
I decided to change the model. I hired a coach from the Tony Robbins organization. And together we kind of remodeled my business model. And then since 2010, I've been traveling around the world. Effectively, what I do is I teach business owners how to consult for their own business. So that makes me a very popular guy out there in the world. And that's the reason why I get to speak on platforms all around the world. I've probably spoken in 30 countries maybe in the last several years. And then I get invited to speak on panels. I get invited to be members of boards. I get invited to do interviews all the time. So about business, about all sorts of business topics,
Yeah.
And in this in this day and age right now, because of this coronavirus, so many businesses need help, because they're facing, monumental financial changes. So, so I'm out there doing a lot of interviews, speaking with a lot of people, and helping people as much as I can.
How many languages do you speak?
Tres. I speak 3 languages, right? French is my first language, obviously. English, and then Espanol también.
Very good. So when you go to countries where it's a language you don't speak, you use interpreters.
The only time I had to use interpreters was I was speaking at a conference, and they had a bunch of Japanese people. The conference was actually in the United States, but a lot of Japanese people were invited, and they didn't speak English too well. So we had an interpreter. That's the only time I did it. And I didn't enjoy it at all. It was because I'm a very animated speaker. I'm not a very didactic or linear speaker. Like some other speakers might just share information. For me, speaking, even about business, is also about entertaining. It's about keeping people awake. So the translator, she couldn't keep up with me. So I just didn't like that. But
Yeah.
all the other countries, people speak English. You'd be surprised. People speak English pretty much everywhere now.
I was thinking about this yesterday. What are your views on this? I was thinking that if someone would have told us all that we had to stay home and run our lives from our homes, we'd be looking at them going, duh, what are you thinking? It can't be done.
It's eerie.
Yeah. What do you think of how we're all seeming to manage? Kids are learning from home. People are running their corporations from home. What are you learning from this? What is this corona teaching you?
Yeah, that's a very good point. That's a very good question, Jennylyn. So, what I always tell my clients? I say, in order to survive in business, in order to thrive, in order to achieve the dreams, right? Some of my clients come to me because they just want more. They want to be able to fly to Milan once a year to go shopping, or they'd like to have a tropical vacation in Grenada or in the Caribbean somewhere, right? And they just want more out of life. Right. And they most of the speakers in the speaking world, most of the coaches, most of the consultants like me, they teach business, and it's all about business, right? And for the first 4 years of my practice, that's what I did. I taught business until I realized that there's only so much that you can teach. The first thing that somebody needs to be before they can actually succeed is they need to adopt a certain profile, a certain makeup. And the example that I always give is this, right? You want to be successful. Look at Warren Buffett, right? He's massively successful. Look at Oprah. Look at Donald Trump. Look at Bill Gates. They've all achieved billionaire status. They're all very successful, but they've all done it differently. So who's going to go out there and say there is a model, there is a recipe? There is not, right? My clients who achieve success because they first become the kind of person who can achieve success, okay? Mm-hmm. So my point in this is this. In order to thrive, you have to be very flexible, very, very flexible. And that's what I'm seeing right now. I think during this crisis, I'm seeing people who are flexible, people who are adaptable are doing just fine. But people who were very rigid, people who operated their life following very strict dogmas and rules and values and cultures, these people are freaking out right now because they can't adapt. Mm-hmm. So their businesses are faltering, their lives are faltering. I'm hearing stories of families breaking up, and I mean it's a mess because people cannot adapt.
I am not surprised because there are people in this world that as soon as they're taken out of their routine, they freak out.
Yep.
And it's like their world is ending. So I am really happy to see that we have a lot of adaptable people living amongst us.
Me too.
As an
surprised. I'm honestly, I think I'm a bit surprised how much most people are adapting to this pretty well. I'm surprised a little bit. I wouldn't have thought.
Don't you think there is an element of fear that is motivating them? I mean, what's the option? Go out and get sick?
Yeah. It's like this idea of, burning the ships, right? Mm-hmm. When you look at if you're a fan of history like I am, if you look at the conquerors, these 500 men approach a beach, and then there's 10,000 natives, And then the captain says, burn the ships. Well, historically, when you have no choice, when you can't go back because the ships are burned, historically, if you look at the documents, most of these people end up winning, right? So human beings are extremely adaptable, no doubt. But in the day-to-day life, most people are almost afraid to adapt. Most people, we live especially in America, we live a very cushioned life,
Mhm.
And a lot of people have this feeling of entitlement, and they don't want to change. They're like, I'm expecting the world to change. I don't want to change, but when they're forced to change, it's surprising how many people actually adapt, and how many people are forced right now. The ships are burned, and they're changing and adapting.
Mhm.
I love it.
I remember when it started in China. I remember having conversations with some people, and they're like, oh, well, those Chinese, they eat all sorts of craziness, I'm not surprised. But the tone and the attitude was, that's not going to happen here.
Right.
And this virus is teaching us so many lessons on so many levels. The fact that it doesn't discriminate kings, leaders, it's just hitting everyone in its path. And I think it's the one lesson for me that is it's a reminder that at the core, we're all humans.
That's true.
If
I
you
love it.
take
I love
away
it. Love it.
all the titles and all of the money and all of the influence or whatever, prestige, at the core, we are all, on some levels, we only have so much control. So as a leader and someone who influences people, what are you telling the rigid people right now? I'm just curious.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's a really good question. I mean, it's a story of adaptable. You have to become adaptable. So the course that I just finished for all these people is I shared with them the traits of a person who succeeds no matter what, right? And it's this idea of, taking responsibility for your life. And I have a name for the person who thrives no matter what. I call that person an outlier entrepreneur, right? Outlier entrepreneur. Why? Well, an outlier, people are very familiar with the term because of the book from Max Gladwell, what's his name? Malcolm Gladwell.
Yeah,
Malcolm Gladwell. He wrote a book called The Outlier. And people are familiar with the title, but what's an outlier, right? An outlier is basically somebody who is self-asserted, right? It's somebody who understands their own strengths and weaknesses. They're playing within their own strengths. They don't really care about the environment. They don't really care about the world. They know who they are and they play their game. So that's an essential trait in order to become successful and become adaptable. And why the word entrepreneur? Well, because in French, entrepreneur is a French word. And it means a person who undertakes, right? To entreprendre means to undertake. So what do entrepreneurs undertake? They undertake to find solutions. And mark my words, the solutions for the coronavirus, are going to come from entrepreneurs, because the solutions in the world always come from entrepreneurs. Right now, I'm on panels with a group of people from the UN, a group of very highly amazing people, and we're discussing this. And people are coming up with these amazing technologies so that we can actually track who has the virus and who doesn't have the virus. Like technologies that you can put on your phone. I mean, and I think Trump was talking about it a couple of days ago, but I've been aware of this for about a month now. I mean, this is something that's been implemented in China already for the last month. So I'm working with a company right now that's about to release it worldwide as well. So it's basically an app that if you have been in proximity to someone with the virus, the app tells you, and so on and so forth, right? So I think that's going to be the solution that's going to eradicate the problem. That solution came from entrepreneurs. It came from people devoted to creating solutions for the world.
Do you really think this can be eradicated? I spoke with a doctor this morning from Germany, and his concern was, even though there is a vaccine that's being worked on at the moment, his concern is by the time it's ready, this virus would have mutated into something else. And this is why every year we have vaccinations, but we still have so many illnesses, because the virus it changes its characteristics. The smarter we get, the smarter the virus becomes. And so makes it difficult to terminate and eradicate. So hopefully there will be eradication on some level, at least to where we can control it. But
Well, I'm privy to some very private information.
okay,
Deutsche Bank, for example, a couple of days ago released a report. You understand it's an international financial institution, and it's
right,
a report that they released only for their private clients. And in the report, they basically state that, first of all, instead of measuring the number of cases, because it's very subjective, you don't know, how some countries test people, some countries don't test people. So it's really hard to measure the number of cases. However, what we can measure easily is the number of deaths related to the coronavirus. So this is what they're trending. And they've been looking at the curves of progression and death. And based on the progressions, they're saying that by the end of May, the date that they gave, I think was the 27th of May. By the 27th of May, in the United States, we should have reached a place where we're going to be able to start having some proximity. Okay. So what they mean by that is they mean that, some normal activities will be able to resume. Not all. Like restaurants will probably not be open for another several months after that, because in restaurants, you're too close. Or if they do open restaurants, they're going to say, you know what? Yes, before you could put 150 people, now you can only put 25 people in your restaurant or something like that, right? So that's basically what they're saying. They're saying that businesses are going to be reopening in a wave, So like, for example, maybe major road construction work, because workers do not have to be in proximity too much. So that's probably going to start, the big projects like that, big construction projects might start soon. But, things like restaurants, things where there's a lot of proximities, those things are probably not going to reopen. Like, for example, nails and, haircuts and stuff like that. Yeah. So we're all going to have long hair and long nails. We're all going to look like mutants.
Well, the good thing is some women love men with long hair, so it may not be a bad thing.
Yeah, my hair. I mean, it's been like 3 weeks since I got a haircut, so my hair is getting pretty long already.
Well, looks pretty good. You must have been bald before.
Yeah, no, I was not.
So, categorically, from your experience, what types of people that you have influenced are more successful, and which ones aren't quite so successful, even though you're the same people coaching both categories? And what would you attribute the result to?
So number one, I'll give you some characteristics, right? For example, open-mindedness, essential, okay? Learners, people who actually, and that helps in the open-mindedness. Curiosity, essential, okay? In fact, what I did is I deciphered the traits of success in a person into what I call the 4 keys to success.
Right.
And the first one is this idea that I call emotional mastery. You'll find that people who are very successful do not allow what happens in the environment to come in and affect them internally too much, right? And the person who's not successful, by 10 a.m. in the morning, there's already something that has ruined the day already, right? Oh my God, the coffee is not warm enough. Oh my God, it's raining today, right? You understand? It's funny, but it's true, right?
Absolutely true.
So this idea of emotional mastery is a necessary trait of success, right? That's the first one. The second one, I call it physical mastery. People who are successful tend to have more energy.
Right.
People who are more successful are constantly looking for the right supplements, for the new gym routine, for how to eliminate better, for how to cleanse. Like I just like a month ago, I do cleanses, I don't know, a couple, 2-3 times a year. And funny enough, I just finished one about a month ago, right? I went on a 2-week cleanse. For 2 weeks, all I did is I juiced, and I go through a certain regimen, and then it cleans my entire body. It gets rid of toxins.
Can I stop
for a
minute? When
Sorry?
you juice, can I interrupt you for a second?
Sure.
When you juice, is that all you eat all day? Is that all you consume? Just the juice?
Yeah, I make my own juice with organic vegetables, and I put apples in there as well, so to get a little bit of a sweet taste. And that's all I eat. That's all I do. For this time, I did 2 weeks. So for 2 weeks, that's all I ate. So I lost a couple of kilos, which is not bad. It feels good. My skin is fresher. My mind is fresher. My body, my bowel movement, everything. You feel like $1 million. And I do those a couple times a year. In fact, one time I did 6 weeks. The first time I did it almost a decade ago, I did 6 weeks because my body was so clogged up after 45 years of accumulated stress, accumulated pollution,
And
all the
traveling and eating
traveling,
crap when you
travel all the time.
yeah.
So, and this is, if you start interacting with people who achieve more in life, you'll find that I'm not an exception at all. People are always like that. People take care of themselves for their health. We're always looking for ways to have, to have more energy. Because sometimes we understand, if I want to thrive, I cannot crash at 7 p.m. because most of the nights I'm done by 7 or 8 p.m. But sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I have to keep on going until 1 a.m. And I need the energy. And if I have to rely on coffee or alcohol to either keep me up or put me to bed or pills, you haven't figured it out. So what I find is that the people who are very successful have this constant dedication towards finding more physical energy. So that's the second key, right? The third key is this idea of really understanding who you are. You need to understand your strengths. You need to understand your weaknesses. And you need to devote yourself to playing a game within your strengths. See, when normal people out there are constantly trying to overcome their weaknesses, successful people don't care about their weaknesses. They're not ashamed of their weaknesses. They don't care about that. They just play within their strengths. If I don't know how to do something, I don't care if I don't know how to do something, right? I'll just hire someone to do it for me. You understand? But I know what I'm really good at, and that's what I play in. I play within my strengths. So that's number 3. And number 4, I find that the people who achieve more, who reach the summits in the hierarchies of life, whether it's financial, whether it's in the arts, whether it's the government, in politics, anywhere, they tend to also have they need to know about the world. So they're constantly learning about the world. Because in the end, we live in the world. In the end, if you want to be successful in business, you need to understand how people think. So I find that people are attracted by, social sciences, economics, finance, psychology, sociology, history, the sciences that explain how human beings are supposed to interact. So those are the 4 things. I find that the very successful people are always imbued with these 4 cat qualities, right? And a mastery over their emotion, a mastery over their body, their stamina, a desire to really play their own game within their own strength, and also a very keen desire to understand the world. So while most people are watching sport, they might be watching a documentary about, the war in Zimbabwe, if there was a war in Zimbabwe. You understand?
Thank you. Thank you so much for answering that, because some people like to wallow in melancholy and drama and negative stuff, and I don't understand it. But I understand that we all have our own personalities, and like I say, whatever floats your boat.
Right.
At the end of the day, if you're not successful and you're unhappy, then clearly there's need for change.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the coronavirus. I know that it's affecting you in terms of travel. You can't meet your obligations physically, but are you still able to meet some of them?
So all of my events have been canceled, right? So my calendar is cleared up completely right now. I did an event. I was supposed to be in Dallas about 2 weeks ago. And the organization, they're also, for them, it's a lot of revenue. So they decided to do the event on Zoom. So normally they have hundreds of people. They ended up having, I think, 165 people who actually took part in the event. But we did the entire event on Zoom. So it was like 5 days. So I didn't have to be there all the time, but I spoke, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 times over the course of 5 days. So I had to show up. They gave me a schedule, and this is when I had to be on Zoom. So some people are figuring it out. Personally, what I'm doing is I'm also doing a lot of trainings online. I'm organizing a lot of trainings. I just told you about one with my my friends on my community. In fact, you know what happened is this was received so well. I didn't know how well it was going to be received. This is the first time I ever shared my knowledge for free like that. And it was so well received that I decided I'm actually going to do one for the general public as well. So
let me know when that is.
It's probably going to be in about 2 weeks. I'm actually, because we have to promote it. So I spoke with my marketing team. We're going to be promoting it on Facebook, on YouTube, all these places, and we're just figuring it out right now. But it's probably within 2 weeks. We're thinking we're going to have thousands, maybe tens of thousands of people, and I'm going to launch a training like that. You should see. I mean, last night, Jennylyn, you know when you watch the show America's Got Talent, and sometimes there's an amazing performance, and the judges hit the golden buzzer, right?
Yeah.
I swear to you, I wrapped up my training, my 12-day training last night, and this is how I felt. I felt like 500 business owners all at the same time hit the golden buzzer. I mean, the comments that I got, seriously, and I'm saying this very humbly. I'm a very humble person, but the comments that I got is so heartwarming. I mean, there's distress out there. You understand? There's people right now who are very, very afraid. They don't know how to deal with this situation. And to have a voice show up every morning at 11 a.m. East Coast, or actually 8 a.m. California, I showed up and I said, this is what's going on, guys. And I gave them information. And people said, Marco, this was, first of all, the information is helping them rebuild their businesses. But second of all, just to have someone who kind of was guiding them, it was just amazing. So I intend to do at least one more of these online. And if you want later, I'll tell you the link. So if some of your viewers are interested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what have you learned about Marco?
Oh, wow. What a good question. I've been very busy. Like I said, I don't know if what I learned.
I'm going
to tell you a thing that I learned that's really cool. I'm going to tell you one thing that is really cool. My wife-to-be and I do not get to spend a lot of time together usually, right? She's a very busy professional. I travel all around the world. So usually when I'm home for maybe a week or two. In the 5 years that we've dated, I don't know that we have been together this long. I mean, because my last trip was just before Christmas, right? So in December. So I've been home like straight for like 3 months. And in the 5 years that we've been together, I think this is the first time that we're together this long. So what I'm finding out is like, she's a pretty pleasant person to be around in the long term. We're getting to know each other. It's funny, like we've been together for 5 years, but we're getting to know each other like at a different level. And it's really, really amazing what's happening right now. I think we are creating deeper bonds between the two of us. And she cannot go to work either. So she's working from home. So she's home every day. I'm home every day. We're interacting like all day long together. So it's really, really cool. I think that's the one thing I learned about my life, is that she's the one. she's the keeper.
Awesome. Well, that's what I was wondering, how this is working out for people who pass each other in the night and have a weekend here and there. Because in America, if you are a professional, your life is go, 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 go.
Yeah.
And in order to be successful, you have to stay on the competitive edge and do your part, which means you have little time for much else. You just work. So I've been wondering, I'd love to do a show with some people to find out what it's like to actually be locked indoors with their other half.
Yeah.
I don't know how
I'm not going to lie to you. Okay. There's been a couple nights where I'm like, okay, I need to step out. I'm feeling like I'm developing cabin fever. I'm a very active person.
Yeah.
And man, I mean, it's just like I've been spending a lot of time. You know what? One of the good news is I walk a lot. Most of my calls, because I still have to stay in touch with my clients around the world. So most of my calls are done on Zoom or on Skype or WhatsApp. And I can do most of them from basically anywhere. For this one, I want it to be stationary, so I'm actually doing it on my computer. But most of the time, I just do them from my phone. So I can be anywhere. So I walk probably 3 hours a day right now. I'm always outside. And Scottsdale this is the best time of the year to be in Arizona. Perfect weather. So.
Well, before we wrap up, whenever I'm having a conversation with an awesome person like yourself, the time flies.
I know.
So, before we're done, as an influencer, what do you want to say to the viewers watching, whomever is watching the show? What message do you have for them, especially during this time of crisis?
Yeah. This is what I've been telling people since the beginning of this, okay? I know that some people are going through a difficult time right now, but human beings are extremely resilient. Americans, that's probably the word that defines Americans more than anything else, resiliency. America is extremely resilient. We're going to go through this. We've gone through a lot of crises before, and we're going to grow through this. Not only are we going to go through, but we're going to grow through it as well. And I don't know if you remember in the movie, the Marigold Hotel,
Yeah.
there's a character who says, you know, in the end, everything is going to be good. And if it's not good for you right now, it's because it's not the end yet.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's really cute. So, what is your gut feeling? How much more of this lockdown do you foresee us having to undergo?
So like I said about the Deutsche Bank, I like because it's a financial institution, so they have to be extremely realistic. So according to them, by the end of May, we're going to start relaxing. We're going to be able to start relaxing. Now, I don't know what the government is going to do, but what they're saying is that that's kind of what they're suggesting, that by the end of May in America, we should be able to start relaxing the standards a little bit. And it's probably going to take a couple more months after that before everything is back to normal. I think you're going to see a lot of Big Brother applications being put in the market. I'm very concerned about that. That's why the one company that I'm actually kind of backing right now, it's a company out of Dubai. They actually use a blockchain technology where everything is trackable. I don't know if you understand blockchain, but the blockchain technology. So in other words, the data cannot be just scooped up by the NSA or whomever would scoop it up, so that they can kind of Big Brother on us. So I like that company a lot. So I think as a word of caution to the general public, I think as a community we have to be very careful and do not allow governments to take advantage of us too much. In America, we're pretty good, but there are governments around the world that really are going to take advantage of their people in these times. They're going to take advantage of these times to actually pass laws. So I think we need to be a little bit more vigilant as people in general.
So, do you think? Are you surprised by the fatalities in America? Did you expect less people? Are you surprised that we've lost as many as we have?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you, and some people are not going to like what I say. I don't keep track of it too much.
Okay.
I watch zero news, right? Zero news.
I
get so I go, sporadically. I go to the WHO website to see what's going on. I've been to the CDC website as well. So I try to get my news from the source instead of getting it from the news where people are always trying to use sensations to capture your attention. I don't like that. So I haven't watched like commercial news on TV for 20 years. So I'm not following it like a junkie. I'm keeping aware of what's going on, but I'm not like a junkie. So am I surprised? I don't think I'm surprised. I think that in general, I'm going to tell you something. I think our leaders are doing an okay job. Somebody was asking me in a different interview, they said, what do you think of the leaders? I said, right now we cannot judge them. We can't, because this is a new situation. Nobody knows, right? So they're doing the best they can. And I think in the end, we're going to realize that there were heroes in this and there were zeros in this. But right now, we cannot differentiate. So if you go on the right-wing TV station, they're saying that the Democrats are the zeros. And if you go to the left-wing TV station, they're saying that the Republicans are the zeros right now. But that's just their opinion. Nobody knows. History will tell, and I don't know who they are. We don't know who's going to be deemed a good leader and who's going to be deemed a really bad leader. We'll find out, because depending on how this unfolds. But I have this thing that I believe in. I say most elected leaders around the world, they're always trying to do the best and making the best decision with the information that they have. And that I have to believe that. You understand? Like, I have to believe that. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to sleep at night. When I was in my 20s, Jennylyn, I fell for the conspiracy theories and all these crazy people who always have conspiracy theories. And I followed some of the leaders. I don't need to name them. Some of the people that are very well known in the conspiracy theory world. And you know what it is? It's always it's always circular references. There's never any ending to that. It always makes a lot of sense. Oh my God, the world is about to end because of that. And then they prove it by creating a circular reference and a circular reference. In the end, all it is a negative swamp of energy. And these people can never prove it. So I just disconnected from all conspiracy theories. I don't want to have anything to do with conspiracy theories. I don't follow that. And I have to believe that people make the best decisions with the information that they have. So
I tend to agree with you. I don't watch the news either, and I don't buy into conspiracy theories. So we agreed on that.
yes.
I am so grateful that you fit me in. I know you spend a lot of time talking, and so the fact that you were accommodating when I invited you, I feel very privileged that we were able to do this. So we are at the end of our interview time, and is there anything I didn't ask you that you think we should let people know?
Well, I think the one thing that I need to say is that if you run a business, if you're watching this show and you're running a business, and maybe right now you're not sure about what the future entails for you, maybe right now you don't know exactly what's going to happen, I invite you to join me. I'm doing this group. All you have to do is you go to the covidrecovery.com, thecovidrecovery.com, and then you just sign up, and I'm going to invite you to join us in a private Facebook group where I'm sharing a lot of information on how to turn around your own business, how to survive this crisis, but also thrive beyond the crisis. So I think that's the only thing. And then the last thing I want to say, Jennylyn, is I think it's amazing that you're doing this show, that you are devoting so much of your time, I think it's a great service to the community, that you're bringing leaders to actually to interview leaders, to get an opinion of the people. So thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate it.
Thank you. That was so very sweet. Now, the course you mentioned just now, I can make a tag for it. Is it free?
It's 100% free.
You are such an awesome person. Thank you, because so many people are struggling financially right now.
Yes.
I am so grateful. I'll be in touch with you. Thank you for your time. Stay safe. And thank you for watching Conversations with Jennylyn. When a conversation is all you need to be inspired, like this one. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennylyn.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.